William Moulton Marston, who believed women should rule the world, decided at the unnaturally early and altogether impetuous age of 18 that the time had come for him to die. In everything, he was precocious. He had arrived, however, remarkably late, or at least his mother thought so. For years she'd been under considerable pressure to produce him. She was one of 5 sisters. Her only brother had died in 1861, after which her grieving father had built a turreted medieval manor north of Boston, where he closeted himself in a Gothic library in the tallest of its crenellated towers to write a treatise titled Moulton Annals, in which he traced his family back to the Battle of Hastings in 1066. One Moulton had signed the Magna Carta. Another, thin-flanked, broad-chested, long-armed, deep-breathed, and strong-limbed, had tramped through the pages of Sir Walter Scott's Tales of the Crusaders. Measured against the valiance of such men, the annalist, a faint-hearted veteran of the American Civil War, could hardly fail to find his own daring and doing a disappointment. Captain Moulton's enterprise was made evident by his attempt to establish a large carriage manufacturing business. He wrote about himself feebly. The further his researches progressed, the more he despaired of his descendants. Girls who glided idly over the parquet floors of Moulton Castle in lacy, wasp-waisted gowns, their hair twisted on the tops of their heads in tottering piles. Susan and Alice, never married, Clarabelle and Molly bided their time. That left Annie, a spinster schoolteacher. In 1887 she married Frederick William Marston, a merchant of quality woolens for gentlemen's suits. He was, it was whispered, beneath her. And so it came to pass that upon this unpromising match, Captain Moulton staked the succession of a lineage that dated back to the Norman Conquest. At last, in 1893, at the late age of 34, Annie Moulton Marston gave birth to a baby, a boy. They named him William, the Conqueror. It might be said, then, that it was at once a betrayal, and rather in the spirit of these romantic beginnings, that in the winter of 1911, 18-year-old William Moulton Marston, a student at Harvard College, procured from a chemist in Cambridge a vial of hydrocyanic acid with which he prepared to end his life. He'd been born in a 3-story Victorian house on Avon Street in Cliftondale, Massachusetts. He was cherished, he was adored. His mother, and alike his aunts, having no need to divide their attentions, lavished them upon him, tucking him into their laps. He ate Sunday dinner at Moulton Castle. He liked to gauge the distance between the genuine and the fake. He collected stuffed birds. He won his first school prize when he was 7 years old. He held literary ambitions. He wrote poems and stories and plays. His mother detected signs of genius. His boyhood philosophy of suicide is what happens when pragmatism, fed by observation, finds a nest in the home of a very clever child, unquestioned by his parents. On Avon Street, a neighbor of the Marstons one day looked in the bathroom mirror, said, "What the hell?" and slit his throat. Boy Marston turned this over in his mind. "From the age of 12 to my late 20s, he later explained, I believed firmly in suicide. If success could be achieved with ease, he reasoned, life was worth living. If not, the only sensible thing to do was to sign off. He was not, early on, tempted to sign off. He triumphed at everything he attempted. He grew tall and devilishly handsome, even if his ears poked out. His hair was dark and curly, his chin broad and dimpled. He grew from cub to lion. In 8th grade, at Felton Grammar School, he fell in love with a sharp, spindly girl named Sadie Elizabeth Holloway. She was whip-smart. She'd come to New England from the Isle of Man. She was a Manx. The next year, he was elected class president and she class secretary. No other outcome had been, to either of them, imaginable. Maybe it was then that he told her they would name their first son Moulton. At Malden High School, Marston was elected class historian, president of the Literary Society, and editor-in-chief of the student literary magazine, the Oracle. He wrote a class history in the form of a conversation with Clio, the goddess of history, she first of all the nymphs who sprung from Zeus. He presided over a debate about woman suffrage. He played football, a 6-foot, 184-pound left guard. During his senior year, his team won the state championship. When Charles W. Eliot, the emeritus president of Harvard, came to speak to the senior class, Marston decided where his destiny lay. "The effect of Harvard upon the afterlife of a man cannot be estimated," he wrote in the Oracle. On his college application in the blank marked intended occupation, he wrote one word: law. His mind was unclouded by any doubt of his admission. He moved to Cambridge in September 1911, lugging a trunk stuffed with suits and books into a cramped room in a boarding house on the corner of Hancock Street and Broadway, east of Harvard Yard. And then he met, for the first time, an obstacle